I'm a politician, and
turn off the microphone.
I've been in
Not yours, ours.
I've been in elected office, and now I serve in leadership positions, and I got the snickers when the other woman asked the question about her husband. And I know that the field is one where we do what we do because we don't know what we don't know. We don't know any better. And in the years that I have been involved as a leader, and I seem to be compelled to continue to be a leader, it's been my desire since I've found law of attraction to know what it's like, or to inspire myself, inspire others through my own example, to be a leader in politics or part of a political movement or something like that, where we lead from a perspective of law of attraction, an awareness of that, a connection to source. And
well, let us interject something here, because we don't want to give anyone a misimpression. We think that politics is as wonderful as anything else you might choose.
Yes.
We think it is a wonderful thing to be sincerely involved in an aspect of life on this planet where you, from a personal standpoint, come to powerful conclusions because of what you are observing, where your desire on behalf of others for the well-being of the good of the whole is formulated within you, and you launch powerful rockets of desire. And we can think of nothing more wonderful than for you then to gather together with others who, in a like-minded way, wish for things to get better. And we also agree that it is possible for several different factions or parties or even households to have differing views on what should be done. There are only two primary areas of true distortion that politics brings to mind right away. The first is you are very action-oriented. In other words, most are jumping into what we can do to solve some condition. And so very little attention is given to the thought that is causing it. And so it's just always trying to fix something after the fact instead of create it the way you would like it to be to begin with.
Yes.
So if you could be in a political seat where you could get people dreaming and talking who actually have the power to make things happen, so their desires are believable to them because they are understanding from where they stand that it could happen, this could be a very powerful thing. And then the other thing that causes the political arena to not be as productive as it could be, and certainly not be as pleasant as it could be, is there is usually more attention upon what somebody else wants that you don't want than there is attention upon what you want. So it becomes one of pushing against more than one of dreaming about what you're wanting. And that's what we meant when we said often the other political party is responsible for your win, because they're pushing so hard against what they do not want that they cast more votes for that. Because when you look at something wanted and you say yes to it, you are including it in your vibration. When you look at something and say no to it, you are including it in your vibration. So you could become a very powerful politician, or your party could be a very powerful party if it could talk about what it wants and push not against what it does not want. In other words, most people are even beginning to get a sense of that in this nation as they look at the political arena, and they realize that there are many people, especially on the Democratic side, that cannot speak clearly about what it is that they are wanting.
Yes.
But they are very verbal about what they don't want on the other side, not even realizing they're casting votes for the very thing that they do not want, you see.
How do I be a leader and stay focused? Because the dynamics of the field is there's so much thrown at you on a daily basis.
What
all
made
these
you
opinions.
choose the arena to begin with? Why did you say, this is the place where I will affect my power and value and influence?
The desire to be of service, to make a contribution, to feel and think and to be an example and to help others be lifted into potentials greater than what they are.
And has that changed? In other words, is that desire still within you?
Oh, very much.
And do you still believe that you can accomplish that through this political venue?
I do believe it, and what I'm inspired by is I have the weekly CDs, and I hear you speak about the medical profession and some of the conversations you're having to help doctors to look at sickness in another way. And I've taken on helping leaders to look at being in politics and leading in a different way, leading from a background with these kinds of ideas of focusing on what we do want, not getting so caught up in what we don't want. And my own efforts to be that kind of focus. I mean, you said it in the last, when you were in Seattle, and I'm from Seattle, workshop, and I hear it every time you say it on the tape. You talk about how there can be a person, who is so clear, and it is through their own clarity that, others gain clarity as well. And I'd like for you to just say a little bit more about what that looks like. What would I be thinking and being to be that kind of clarity?
Well, see yourself as one who collects data, and see the data collecting stage as the one where you are trying to figure out what is going on, and during the process of gathering that data, your own personal preferences about what would make your world through your eyes a better place. Let that just formulate naturally. You don't even have to work hard at that. Just involve yourself in your system and let those natural desires be born. But when you find yourself feeling the true passion about something, then as quickly as you can, turn your undivided attention to what you want and why you want it. And the reason that it's a little tricky in the political arena is because most people believe that they have to talk down or defeat what they do not want, not realizing that they're diffusing their own power when they do that. And so it really is a matter of being clear about what you want and staying on message about what you want and letting what you want be heard, not because you need to say it so that the others can hear it so that they can all finally come into agreement, but because when you say it so much that you come into agreement, now you are a force to be reckoned with. In other words, one who is completely connected to their dream, who is in sync with the power of the universe, in utter alignment with your desire. Did you hear us earlier when we said your desire, once it is formulated, source energy says yes to it?
Yes.
So source energy is saying yes to what you want. Source energy is saying yes to what the others want. And so if you are a competitive lot, you're saying, well, Abraham, how can source be saying yes to my team that wins and yes to the other team that wins? Who's going to win? And we say the team that's most in alignment with their own desire. And so when you realize that all you have to do is get into alignment with what you want, which means it's got to feel good to you when you talk about it, now everything will fall into place for you. There's another thing that we would like to give to you, and that is that when you think about creating your own reality, can you hear us when we talk about the importance of your perception of your own personal power?
Yes.
Can't you just feel that resonate with you? In other words, and can't you feel that the way you feel is about that perception of your degrees of empowerment? And isn't a feeling of disempowerment the worst feeling in the world?
Yes.
So, as a leader, your work is to feel your own empowerment, but not to gain the empowerment so that you can dole it out to those who need it, because that goes against the universal system. What you want to do is demonstrate how to gain your personal power with an eye to helping others understand how to gain their personal empowerment, because an individual will not be truly happy until they acknowledge that they are in control of their own experience, nor will your constituency. In other words, it's the same for everyone. You've got to feel your power, and nobody likes somebody else having the power, you see. Another thing that we'd like to say to you is that, and you already know this, but we're going to just lay it out here in very clear and blatant terms, and that is, did we mention that you probably already know this? But
yes.
We really want you to hear this, that because this universe is selfishly driven, and we mean that in the most wonderful way. When you think about it, that every point of consciousness gets to selfishly choose what's best for them, and Source agrees right away. Step one, step two, taken care of. And that if every point of consciousness is choosing and Source is answering, then what a wonderful world it is, where everybody's asking for what they personally need and universal forces are providing it. So what goes wrong? Why are some people disallowing the well-being from flowing to them while others are allowing it? And we say, you can't take that pie and split it up in some way where you take the pieces from people who have been allowing it to flow and give it to the people who have not been allowing it to flow and expect it to stick, because in a very short period of time that pie will put itself back where it vibrationally belongs, you see. And so when you realize, now this is the part that we want to make sure that you hear, that because this universe is selfishly motivated, which is a wonderful thing, then from a political standpoint, or from any standpoint really, understand that everything is therefore driven by economics. And when you understand that everything is driven by economics and you don't ask it to be other than that, and then you get in the flow of that, in other words, let your questions, as you are trying to figure out what to do, let your questions be questions like, what is the greatest benefit that that person could derive from this system? In other words, how can this person personally benefit the most from what we've got going? And then remind yourself that self-empowerment is at the heart of their joy. You can take money from someplace else, you can give them programs, you can put all kinds of things in place, but unless a person is connected to the stream and understanding their own self-empowerment, they will eternally be dissatisfied. So if we were talking to you and you were asking how to be a good parent, or if you were a teacher asking how to be a good teacher, or if you were a politician asking how to be a wonderful politician, our answer is the same in every case. Teach self-empowerment and expect things to go well for them, and stop seeing them as broken, and stop putting programs into place that say, I do this for you because I see that you cannot do it for yourself. Because every time you do something for someone with that attitude, you disempower them more. You fan the flames of their own recognition of their own disempowerment, and no matter how much you give to them, they will continue to hate you for it, you see, because they do not want the things that you can give them. They want to know that they can achieve for themselves. We know this because we know the hearts and minds of everyone who exists on this planet. There is not one who could sincerely say, I would like you to take all of my power from me and just treat me in the way that will be pleasing to me, because it's not the stuff you want, it's the vibrational alignment that you crave. Really it is.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I've combined now politics with being a spiritual teacher. And, I do workshops, lectures, and seminars on spirituality with this idea of combining, interweaving politics.
But you see, spirituality is ready to be received by some and abhorrent to others. Spirituality is a very broad spectrum. In other words, your spirituality might not be the spirituality that they want to hear about. There's all kinds of prickly spines that go up around that subject. But when you're talking about personal empowerment, everyone resonates with that, you see.
So that's a better conversation.
It's certainly a broader conversation, and one that won't get you shut down in the first moments of opening your mouth. And isn't really the basis of politics the upliftment of the whole?
Yes.
Isn't that what they would tell you in words, that we're working for the greater good? And we say, liars, liars, all of them, because no one really has the ability to want for the greater good. Everyone has the ability to want for the individual, want for their own individual desires. And we're not saying that you cannot care about others, you do. But you've got to care about them finding personal empowerment. Otherwise, your political system will fall of its own economic weight. You just cannot keep working against the forces of the universe and maintain anything for very long. And that's the way the political tide always turns. Do you notice? It always goes where the money is, you see. And the money will always follow the personal empowerment every time.
And is personal empowerment above money? Is that supreme? supreme in terms of,
Yes, it is, because once you are personally empowered, then you can achieve anything that you are wanting. It can be dollars if you want it, or more time if you want it, or more love if you want it, or more clarity if you want it, or more wellness if you want it. In other words, abundance of all things comes to you when you understand your personal empowerment.